Hi viewers, hope you're all okay. Tonight's video, I'm going to be reading a passage of my book. Now it's only going to be like maybe a paragraph or something, and because I've never read a passage of my book to anyone before, it is quite a new experience for me. I got requested to do this. For anyone who has watched my interview parts 1 to 4, you'll know where I got it from anyway, but I was requested to do this by one of my subscribers, Smooth and Shiny, so I'm going to do it. But before I do read it, I'm going to give you a bit of background, because the book follows on, and it was very hard for me to find a passage, because you have to read sort of one bit and then that moves on to the next, and then next, so it just moves smoothly on. So I thought I'd give you a bit of background beforehand. Okay, there are 3 brothers in the book, Rex, Richard and Ryan. Now I've done Rex in first person, so if you hear me saying I, that is Rex, because I've decided to do him in first person because it's because you can sort of get into their heads a bit more, so that's why I decided to do it. And they meet someone from the streets, who I've called, well, originally his name was Grego because it sounded cool, but then I shortened it to Greg because I was getting fed up with the red lines on the spell checker thing. So that's Greg, and what they've done is they've taken him off the street and they're hiding him in the attic of their house, Rex, Richard and Ryan, and they all know he's there, but their mum doesn't. So what Greg does is one night he sneaks down to the kitchen one night while their mum is preparing tea, and he takes some sausages to eat, and they find out about it because their mum is like, oh, where's my sausages gone? So Rex, Richard and Ryan know who it is and go up to the attic to him and say, you know, shouldn't be doing this, and then a row breaks out, and then this is the point where we're at. They're not talking now because they've just had this row on the night. So here we go, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll see how far I can hold it to read. Okay. For the rest of the night, neither I nor Richard went up to Greg. I watched telly in the living room, wanting to avoid everyone. Richard and Ryan seemed to be doing the same, because Ryan kept to his room, and Richard announced after tea that he was going out. Mum stayed in the kitchen, but I had no idea what she was doing. Even as I was watching the telly, I couldn't concentrate properly on it. I was still thinking about the number of texts Ryan was receiving, and my gut instinct was strong. I wish I could find out what's going on, I muttered to myself as I looked at the ceiling, imagining Ryan in his room, up to whatever it was. As soon as I spoke these words, I rose from my sprawled position in front of the living room fire, knowing the television wasn't giving me the slightest bit of interest tonight, when I suddenly heard an almighty crash coming from somewhere up above, and the sound of running footsteps. I dashed into the hall to see what the commotion was about, just as Ryan skidded to a halt in front of me, panicking. "What's up with you?" I asked. warily, thinking Ryan might be playing a childish prank. "The attic floor's caved in," he yelled, just as Mum dashed in. My hands flew to my mouth as I realised what it must mean, and, sure enough, a second later, something began to thud down the stairs, bouncing off each one. Ryan and Mum scattered to avoid it, and I closed my eyes and covered my ears as it crashed to the floor at the bottom. Mum screamed, Ryan yelled, and I slowly opened my eyes, not wanting to see what lay before me, but knowing that I had to. Even as I stared at Greg, lying unconscious in the hall at my feet, I tried not to believe that it was him. It must have been a dream, I thought, or an item that had fallen down the stairs by accident. Greg will still be in the attic, eating the rest of Mum's sausages. But even as I tried to make myself think positive and tried not to look down, I knew it was Greg. I felt numb, and my brain seemed to have jammed in shock. I stared back up at the stairs, wanting to look anywhere but at my helpless friend. It was as I looked towards the landing that I saw it. A man was walking down the stairs, staring at Greg at all times. I knew I'd seen him before, but I couldn't remember where, and I was in no fit state to think back. As he reached the middle of the stairs, however, he looked up into my face, pointed at Greg once, gave me a quick smile before melting away before my very eyes. I stared at the spot as Ryan took action, but I hardly heard anything he said as I swayed. I had no recollection of an ambulance being called, but when I heard the sirens, I felt a surge of relief rush to my numb legs, making them stumble backward toward the door as the bell sounded. That is in draft at the minute. All of my books in draft because it's not finished. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sorry if you wanted it to be shorter or longer. As I said before, I've not done this before. Please leave your comments telling me what you thought to that, and telling me what changes you thought I could have made, because I would love to hear them. I love hearing feedback, whether it's good or bad, because constructive feedback and points about what you thought were good and points which you thought could change is very good for me. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.